Hey everybody, welcome back to Tap the Patient. I say the episode number there normally, don't I? This is episode 134. I'm AJ with Audacity Micro and Subtract Manufacturing here with Harrison at Precision Ingenuity. This is the podcast that forgets our own intro basically every week, and it doesn't help when we skip a week. Hi Harrison.
How we doing?
I'm doing better than last week.
Okay. Well, let's expand upon that. What makes it better?
I'm not as tired. Things weren't going bad last week. I got to the end of the week and I had basically filled every spare moment with work. And then the weekend hit and I just kind of crashed.
So me and you basically traded then, because that's me this week.
Oh, except you
wiped.
Actually recorded the podcast.
Yeah. I am wiped after last week, and I have a feeling it's only going to get worse for the next couple months. In a good way. I mean, it's good, but it's going to be a lot. So,
do you have the new machine running yet?
We have it powered.
Okay.
But the techs come tomorrow.
Okay.
So, it's been kind of a very slow process, and we didn't think we could power on the machine until we got a new panel in, and turns out that there was actually an open spot in the panel.
Oh, sweet.
But then the electrician didn't have a breaker that was the size that we needed. So
Naturally.
then we were going to get a temporary breaker, a lower amperage one, just so we could get it turned on and the techs could get it going. And then after a couple days, the electrician came back and said that he did end up getting a breaker that would work. He had a buddy that had, I guess, a used one. He didn't want to buy a new one for temporary. And so he had a buddy that had a used one, and he felt more comfortable putting on the size that was actually recommended rather than a temporary solution just to get it powered on. And so now the techs are going to come out tomorrow, and they're going to actually start turning the stupid thing on, which is great because I have been itching to get this machine up and running.
Yeah. So you got your transformer in. That was like the last hurdle, right?
Yeah, and it was kind of interesting. So initially we were going to get a single transformer that would mount directly to the machine, but that one was out of stock. And so we had to go some back and forth because we had it all priced into our quote. And what ended up happening was they ended up getting 3 smaller transformers that would do every single phase individually. And then when we got them in and we were setting them up, we got looking at the electronics diagram, and it turns out that we only actually needed 2 transformers, which is weird. And it was a very weird configuration. And our electrician and I both were pretty skeptical about it. And we got it hooked up, and we called the manufacturer like 3 times to make sure we were doing it right. And we haven't flipped on the machine, but we've checked the voltages at the machine, and they are all reading the right voltage on all 3 phases. So it's a really weird configuration, but it seems to be working. And it's what the manufacturer says to do.
So 2 of the legs are a lower voltage than the third?
No, they're all the same voltage, but one of the legs is connected to... So one leg goes into one box, one leg goes into another box, and there's another leg that goes into both boxes. And it's connected together. It's
3-phase is wild.
It's a really weird configuration. Both me and the electrician were kind of like, I've never seen this configuration. But it just dropped it by like 15 or 20 volts, something like that. It got it down to from... what was it, like 245 down to 229? So with like a little over 15 volt drop, something like that. And
so did you like send the third one back?
No, the third leg is weird because it's connected to both transformers, but it's also directly connected. Like there is a straight copper wire going from the machine to the breaker, and it connects in the middle to both transformers, and somehow at that junction point, it's lowering its voltage, which is super weird. Because like you measure all three legs, and they're all giving about the same 229, 230 ish volts.
Does that mean it's like, where's the extra energy going? Is it
no idea. It is.
Is it using your transformers as big resistors?
I have no idea. It is the weirdest configuration. I'd have to go see if I can find the electrical schematics on it. But like, if you follow the center node all the way through, it's connected all the way through, but somehow its voltage is getting lowered.
It's got to be like cycling some current through the other, like directly to the other phases.
That's the only thing I can think is when it's connecting to both boxes, it's putting some of its power into both coils, and so it's lowering that voltage at that node.
That makes sense, I suppose. Some Sparky will explain it to us. Hey, Sparky in the comments, help.
Yeah. So it's a weird configuration, but from everything that we can measure, it's working. And according to this is the part that makes me a little bit nervous, is according to the Doosan rep, he set one of these up before, but it took all three transformers. And so I think it's the difference between our power being either a Y or a delta, and the other companies being the opposite.
Yeah.
As to whether or not you need two transformers or three.
I thought everything coming in from the outside was a delta. Is it not?
I don't know. I don't remember what ours was. I just remember whatever ours was has to be the opposite of the other shop because we only need two transformers instead of three. So
weird.
we have a backup transformer now that's upstairs that we're not using.
Huh.
So it's super weird, but it appears to be working. It makes me super uncomfortable, though, if I'm honest.
Yeah, well, I mean, that one can fight the Decepticons while the other two are occupied, I guess.
Yeah, and like, yeah, as long as we're doing what it's supposed to be done, and if anything goes sideways, I can go, hey, Doosan provided these things, and this is how I was told to do it, so it's on you guys at that point.
Yeah.
So
I mean, if the voltage is right, the worst case scenario is you turn it on and current draw does weird things to the voltages. Like it draws down the 2 and not the 1, or the 1 and not the 2 or something. But
yeah, I don't know. It seems right so far. So we'll see what's going on by the end of it. But yeah, I don't know. It's weird. I mean, the transformers are supposed to be rated for twice the amount that we need. So they should be fine. I mean,
yeah, if the transformer manufacturers say so, then it's probably like, I don't know very much about this stuff, but other people do, so I'll trust the other people in this case.
There's like 8 different diagrams in the way it can be configured, depending on what type, if you want it to gain voltage, lose voltage, by how much, which configuration it's in. I mean, the thing has like 10 wires in each box that can all be configured to different things. So
yeah, it's like when you're wiring up a large motor and you open up the electrical box and there's like 12 different wires in there.
Mm-hmm.
You put them in different configurations to do different things.
Yeah, that's what these are. And so I think we were using configuration diagram number 8. So
that one.
Yeah, that one. For those Sparkies in the comics, it's diagram number 8.
What brand was it?
I don't remember off the top of my head, and I don't think I took a photo of it. So I'll try to.
Do we care enough to put it like the details in the description so that the Sparkies can tell us?
I mean, I can go, if anyone's interested, I can go get all that information. It won't be that hard. There's
going to be one guy who's very interested.
Yeah.
And everyone else is like, just talk about machining, guys.
Yeah. So anyways, all that to be said, the machine.
We're sorry, that one guy.
Yeah, sorry, that one guy. The machine should be powered on this week. I don't think it'll be running by the end of the week, like parts, but it'll be to the point where we can start getting it set up, and maybe we'll have first chips by the end of the week. It just kind of depends. We're trying to figure out how we want to tool it up, and I kind of need to move things around and see what kind of clearances we're dealing with to try to figure some of that out.
Nice. Yeah.
So
So once that's up and running, will that reduce kind of your stress load or add to it?
it'll probably increase it for a little while until I get comfortable with the machine,
That's fair.
but it'll reduce it in terms of, if it's making parts and I'm only making one SKU on it in the beginning and I get comfortable with that one SKU, I might not be comfortable with the machine, but if I get comfortable in one program, then for the short term, that'll lower my stress levels, but I'll still have higher levels as I kind of get comfortable with the machine overall. Because once we get this thing up and running, it's basically going to be running only one SKU for probably 4 months. So
That's a good way to slowly ease into a machine.
yeah. So, and I know that as soon as I get it running, I can go to the medical people and they will give me more volume of the part I'm running if I have capacity for it. Because they bug me about every week, and right now I have basically a every week delivery from now until February.
Nice.
And so they would take more if I could fit in more per week. So, but yeah, no, we got a lot going on. At the very end of last week, we were actually getting kind of slow in quotes, where instead of having to run 4 machines, I could drop down to 2 or 3.
Wow.
And then last week happened, and that went away.
Oh.
So 2 of the 3, well, no. One of them was kind of not planned. So the large order I was planning on having back in August finally got released. And so that's not going to be a continuous order. It's more like just a big wave of parts. And it was a massive wave of parts that there's no way I could get done in the time frame that they had allotted. And so I told them that, and basically they took back some of the parts, but I talked to the purchasing agent and he said that they've overloaded every shop that they're dealing with right now. And he said, no one's going to hit their due dates. He said, you're the only one that's being honest about it. He said, everyone else is going to miss them.
Yeah.
So, but we'll see. We'll probably end up getting those parts back, if I had to guess, by the end of this, because we're gonna get everything that we can get done that we've agreed to done, and then everyone else is still going to be behind, so we'll probably get them back.
Yeah.
But the thing is, with that, right before that large order came in, we had a different large order from the guitar people, and I basically gave them a choice. They had a certain price point they were wanting to reach, and I said, and they wanted a couple thousand pieces for the first run, and I told them that if the price they were trying to reach they wanted, we could not reach that price using conventional methods. But if they wanted to spend a little bit more on the first batch, we would invest into some automation, and then we could actually get a price lower than what they requested in the future. And they went for it.
Okay,
And
so you essentially gave them a NRE,
yes,
a non-recurring expense.
Yes. I basically said, hey, listen, doing the pallet method, which what we've been doing, I can't hit the price that you want to hit. But if I can get runs overnight with some form of automation, then I can actually get lower than what you're wanting. But that's going to require a larger investment on the front end for me to invest in everything I need to get to that point. And so your first batch is going to be more expensive, but after that will be lower. And
so what form of automation, Harrison?
My plan was originally to put gimbal automation on the Doosan, and I was all gung-ho for that. And we had gotten a quote from Gimbal, and we were ready to pull the trigger on it. And then the order from August came in, and a lot of those parts are going to have to be done on the Doosan during the time frame that I need to get that first production order done. And there's a conflict there. So I had to
new machine.
Well, we pivoted. And instead, we're looking at getting a cobot system for the UMC 500, because then we can do the parts that we're already running on it for the magwells. We can go ahead and fully automate those, and I'll have enough machine time to do the guitar parts in addition, and I should still have extra machine time if I'm automating that part. So right now we're able to get the magwells, if the machine's running 40 hours a week, or it's actually closer to 50 hours a week, we can keep up with the magwell order, and I can easily move all of that time to after hours. And then I should be able to get the guitar parts fit in there with those. And so I could run maybe 3 nights of magwells and 2 nights of guitar parts. And then in theory, I would have the UMC all during the day for job shop stuff. And so that's what we're leaning towards.
Do the guitar parts benefit from multi-axis?
They can be done on they need a 4th minimum. So they're not going to gain. That's why I was able to do them on the Doosan, and why I wanted to use gimbal. Is because my plan was to put the 90-degree gimbal vise on my 4th axis on this plate, and then because it has holes on the top and on both sides, so it's got holes spread out 180 degrees around the top half of the part, and I can do that in the 4th axis. All the rest of it can be done 3 axis.
Okay.
So,
but if you're going to be automating the UMC, might as well put the parts on there anyway.
Yeah. There's a couple other 5-axis moves that are a little, there's a couple other things you can do on the 4th axis that the 5-axis makes just a little bit easier, and I don't need a specialized of tooling. And so there is some benefits, but it can be done on a 4th.
Yeah.
So,
Well,
and my plan was to do the gimbal, because the price that I quoted them was enough to basically cover the bulk of the gimbal setup and do it as a gimbal turnkey, or semi-turnkey is what they call it. And I really wanted to do that because I didn't want to invest in another payment. And
yeah.
And I wanted to get something up and running. I wanted to get my feet wet in as small of an investment as possible. And this other order just kind of put me in a tough spot where I was going to have to say no to someone. And we were already planning on putting a robot on the UMC at some point, and we get the added benefit of there's parts we're already running on it that would greatly benefit from being fully automated already. And so that investment basically turned into a down payment for the robot.
Yeah. I think gimbal shines the most when you go for their, I don't want to say lower end system, but like you get the claw, you get the vice, and that's it. Because you can get those 2 things and start automating for like $4,000, $5,000, somewhere in there.
Yeah.
And by the time you add on all the bells and whistles, then it gets into cobot territory.
And that's kind of what happened to us. We were wanting to do it as a semi-turnkey, which added a lot. And basically, I wanted my first steps into automation be, you guys cover everything, you guys test it, you guys do everything, and give us the parts. We'll set it up on our machine. But at that point, all of the hard testing has been done. Now, the cobot system we're looking at using is going to be VersaBuilt. We had looked at Lights Out, but they were way too far down the line, because I had quoted 4 to 6 weeks to start getting parts for the guitar people, and because that's kind of what I had worked out with gimbal, and the only ones that could do that on the cobot side was VersaBuilt, and theirs is going to include, it's not a turnkey per se, but it's a turnkey without being tied to a specific part. Like they're going to set it up and demo parts with us to make sure we're all good before. Includes like 5 days of on-site training. So
yeah, 5 days is a lot.
Yeah. And
I just worry with these integrators, like if they're actually providing enough value to justify it.
So the integrator that's going to be doing it, and the reason I'm comfortable doing the VersaBuilt side is because he's a guy that has come to my shop multiple times. I have a really good history with him, and he's set up VersaBuilt for about 2 or 3 other companies in the area, and I've gone to go tour his work. So I've seen his setup that he's done in person. It was actually the first time I've seen a robot automating a machine in person, was the stuff that he had done for other companies in the area. And he's actually part of the Haas factory outlet in our area, part of Philips Corp. But Philips does Haas and they do VersaBuilt. And when we talked to him, he recommended VersaBuilt over a Haas solution. So,
yeah, I don't know. And this is maybe we're starting to get to some of the differences in like our goals for our businesses and like the style that we do business in. If I could save, tens of thousands of dollars and do the work myself, like I would prefer to do that. Like I would do the less capital outlay and then, get to learn the skills and like do the things myself. And, it probably is a better investment to just have somebody come in from the outside, but it kind of takes all the fun out of it for me. Like, I don't know.
Yes and no. I mean, I'm getting to the point in our business that we are this year we're on track to make more than we've made all other years combined at this point. And next year there's a good chance we could double it from where we're at right now. And all that to say, with all that work that's coming through, I don't have enough time in the day to do it all anymore. And
I'm not saying you're making the wrong decision. It's just our priorities and the way we do business are different. And you are definitely going to grow your business faster than me. And like, I'm totally okay with that.
Yeah. Yeah. And I've tried to build my business around preparing for and planning for projects that I hear about. And what that means is that when the projects actually hit, I have a game plan in place. It's just stressful to get it implemented and going.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm actually have a meeting with one of my customers so tomorrow I have the Doosan integrator, or not integrators, my local Doosan sales reps, Trident Group or TechMech. They're coming out to set up the machine. I have a meeting with one of my other customers about future projects that could be really big, which is the other reason we're wanting to do the robot for the UMC. The guitar people should be handing me a check, and then I will probably be ordering the robot. And then on Tuesday, I have a meeting with Toolpath. So we're getting into Toolpath now.
You use my affiliate code.
No, I didn't. I actually Ben over at Toolpath reached out and got us hooked up.
Nice.
So
I just recorded a video. It should come out probably tomorrow or something on my new workflow for Softjaws. And I have 2 workflows now. I have a Toolpath workflow and a non-Toolpath workflow. Anything that's just 2D, I just run through my normal workflow. It's a container method template, basically. But I recently added a workflow for Toolpath, not generated Softjaws, but generated CAM for my Softjaws, where I have a template document set up and, all of my work coordinates systems and everything pre-set and my setups pre-set up. So I can just design whatever geometry I want in there, hit send to Toolpath and run the finished CAM. So far, it's been really, really good.
Yeah, we're going to end up putting Toolpath through its paces. My goal is on this large order that came in, that's supposed to hit us in August. I'm going to try to run, it's over 50 unique parts, and they got to be done in about a month. And so I'm going to try to push as many of those through Toolpath as possible and try to keep both the VF and the SVM running those jobs. So, and with hopefully the help of my employee, who's also named is Ben,
Okay.
and he should be helping to set up and run parts on these machines as well.
Nice.
So, if I can get done, the I've estimated that we can get all those 50 parts done in a month based on previous experiences. And I'm hoping that with the having the addition of an employee and toolpath, we can beat my estimates. And so I'm hoping that toolpath will help speed that up and that we can kind of push these parts through faster. Plus the addition of an employee.
Yeah, it's definitely sped me up. I found it to be really reliable. The only thing that gives it trouble is if you have a circumstance where like whoever drew the part understands there's going to be material left somewhere that's maybe not specifically called out on a drawing. Like if you have two, like let's say you have two complex angles meeting each other and you're surfacing that in, like everybody understands there's going to be a radius in that corner, but toolpath sometimes struggles with that a little bit. I know they're working on that problem, but everything else I found to be pretty dead reliable.
Do you modify your customers' drawings based on the feedback you get? Their customers' models?
The models? Oh, definitely.
So if you drew that in there, it'd probably be okay?
Yes. So I'll add in fillets to help keep toolpath happy. Sometimes I'll plug holes or whatever.
Okay.
But, yeah.
So I'll be taking a deep dive into the toolpath route to just kind of play around with it, see how I like it. We've kind of turned from a job shop into a production shop. And so the job shop work is becoming a smaller and smaller portion of our business as time goes on. And so toolpath hasn't had as much of a value to us. But if I still do get the large, high mix, low volume orders, they're just sporadic. I usually get them 2 or 3 times a year, which is the whole reason I was searching for the production job shop work or the contract manufacturing type work, is because I needed a constant baseline to kind of keep us going, because otherwise our income was doing this constantly. And anytime we'd get a big income or a big batch of parts, we'd have basically no money in the bank to go buy material and all this other stuff. And it was getting really frustrating.
Yeah, production leveling is a whole thing.
Yeah. So my hope is, and my long-term goal is, to get enough production level work to cover my baseline to where when I can still take on the job shop stuff, but now it's not stressful. It's like, this is like bonus time rather than taking us into the black. I should already be there.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
I foresee that your job shop stuff going away in about 3 years. I think it'll hold on for a while, but then you'll just be all production work.
I like the job shop work because it keeps me sharp. So, and the magwells, and that's the other reason that we wanted to get a robot, is the magwells are getting to the point where they're almost annoying, because it's the same thing. It's been running the same thing for all year, and it's constantly going on in the background. And it's like, man, that's really nice for cash flow, but from like operator's perspective, it's not difficult, but it's boring and time consuming.
Yeah.
Perfect candidate for automation.
Yep. And you have a dialed process at this point, and it's already palletized.
Well, yeah,
but you'd probably be switching that up.
We're going to be switching to part loading is the goal going forward, so that we don't have to pallet load.
Yeah.
And then if this ends up being a good process, and I keep getting work like this, I'm already starting to research the next machines that I would like to get to run this type of work.
Ooh.
And if like if I get a robot, that will be completion of our whole plan that we had for that shop. Like the robot on the UMC was the 100% last thing that we had planned out when we first bought out that shop. Gimbal automation getting added to the SVM and the VF are two things that we've thought about since we've kind of been growing. And because I don't think gimbal was really big when or at least I didn't know a whole lot about it whenever we first moved into that building. But if things go well, I could see the UR robot. If we end up doing the piece loading into the UMC, and then later down the line I have the same size parts and I keep getting volume, I could see that work going to a smaller 5-axis machine with higher speeds for aluminum, freeing up the UMC to do larger, smaller runs. And I could potentially see even like a gimbal automation interload system for pallet loading on that machine. And then moving the UR robot, if we still have it, to the ST15 and automating that machine. And so the UR at that point could end up getting moved around to different machines depending on what we want to automate next.
Yeah, it would be super easy to throw, not a full turnkey complex system, but a gripper and a grid plate and a pneumatic vise on either your VF or your Doosan. And, like maybe it's not automating 100% of everything, but if it's, automating all of the op ones or something.
Yep. So depending on how things go with the business, especially if we can get a new addition added to the building, we're going to play a game with how many parts can I produce with 3 people in the current building with an addition. So it'll be an exercise in cramming as much space, as many machines and as much production into as small a space that we have access to.
Yeah.
So, and then after doing that for a couple of years, hopefully I can start looking at buying land and actually building a shop for the future. But I think I need to be in this building I need to try to make it work for a couple of years and then start paying off a couple machines. And then I can start looking towards my next building.
Yeah. And it really would not kill you guys to go steady state for a year or two. And instead of constant exponential growth, maybe go linear for a while. And
yeah. I mean, if we just stayed where we are at for a while, we could start putting money aside and start paying off machines pretty quick, I feel. Just maintaining our current level. The thing is a lot of my customers are in a growing us mindset, and I do not want to stifle that. I've got 3 customers right now that are all pushing for us to grow our capacity, and I want to ride that wave as long as I can.
Yep.
So that's I gotta find a way to make that work with their schedules. But it's exciting stuff because when I first moved into this building and I was looking at my 5-year plan, I had 1 customer, and now that customer is my smallest customer. And it's been a year and a half, and if tomorrow we order a robot, we've completed our 5-year plan in a year and a half.
Nice.
So
would you swap out the ST for like a med center or some other like little small 5-axis with a pallet pool, or a robot?
Depends on the medical. I've thought about switching it out depending on how things go with this Doosan Lynx. We could potentially put another Lynx style machine in the same spot and just have 2 similar machines. Kind of depends on the medical parts. We could put a Swiss machine there.
Yeah.
If we get an addition to the building, then I'd probably put the Swiss, if we get a Swiss, in the new building, because then I could actually get a proper 6-foot or 12-foot bar feeder for it and actually have the space for it. And at that point, we would probably sell the ST15 and put another mill of some kind in its location.
Okay.
So just kind of, it kind of, there's a lot of different factors and a lot of different scenarios that are kind of playing in my head for how things could play out. And I know that there's a lot of the medical parts that I've seen that are really Swiss oriented. And if I do get a Swiss, I would really like to get it with a decent sized bar feeder. So
getting a Swiss with a short bar feeder is ludicrous to me.
Well, yes. Yeah. But I mean, even if you had a 6-foot bar feeder, if it can hold a bunch of bars, I guess I don't see the major benefit to having it as a 12-foot. Like, if my parts are all relatively, like, my longest is like 4 or 5 inches, then I don't think going from 6 to 12 is gonna gain you a whole lot. But I could be wrong, and maybe some other people with more experience in Swiss can enlighten me if I'm missing something.
I know there would be remnant losses because Swisses give you like a 8 or 10-inch remnant.
That could be.
And I think, like, the max capacity is going to be the max capacity in terms of number of bars is going to be the same. And then it's just a matter of, is it twice as long or not?
Yeah. But I do know that of the Swiss machines I'm looking at, and I'm still extremely green. I'm just now starting to look into it. But I really like, was it Tsugami?
Mm-hmm.
I think they're the ones that I'm kind of leaning towards the most right now. And I'm sure people can scream and yell at me later and tell me how dumb I am for doing that, as it's kind of like everyone will have their own favorite machine. But I think Tsugami, so far from the little bit of research I've done, has some machines that I think would be the best fit. So, if I'm honest, the main reason I really like Tsugami is they have a B-axis Swiss lathe, which seems pretty sweet.
You can rotate your live tools at an angle.
They've got an actual mill. They've got an actual mill head.
Okay,
but it's a Swiss.
What about like a Williman?
I thought about a Williman, except most of the parts are still turned, but they do have some complex milling features. So, like, the Williman is what I would consider for something that was more mill heavy than turn heavy.
Yeah, that's fair.
And so far, I haven't seen those types of parts from the medical company. But I don't know what all parts they have because they've only showed me like 10 or 15 different SKUs so far.
In the Wilman, wouldn't it have like a guide bushing for long, slender parts?
Yeah, I don't think it does. So that's why I like the Tsugami with the milling head, because it's kind of gives me a close to Williman style machine, but still has a lot of the Swiss characteristics.
Yeah,
and capabilities, because it's still got a main spindle, it's still got a sub spindle, and that sub spindle can still go do all that other stuff while the main's working. And so it's a Swiss style machine with a B-axis head.
Yeah.
So
and it's a little itty bitty baby mill turn, basically.
Yes, it's an itty bitty mill turn, and some of the components that they've sent me have beveled gears made out of hard material, and you would want to have a pretty good milling setup to be able to do them.
Yeah.
So that's what makes me want to have a true mill head if I can. So, but yeah, we'll see. I don't know what the future is, but I do know that I'm going to try to plan it out as best I can with what I have information wise right now. And none of that is even really touching the subject of the gun side with Walther, but they could be blowing me up with parts soon too. They're the other one that's on the cusp of some pretty major releases that I'm trying to grab as many parts as I can from.
Those magwells seem like they would be good on something like a med center or other, small kind of higher speed spindle, basically like the 5-axis machines I was looking at.
Yeah. And that's basically, if I can keep getting those size parts and aluminum, I want to find something, a small form factor 5-axis machine that I can part load, basically, is my ideal. And then, because it's pretty ludicrous to run these tiny parts on a UMC 500 because it's so slow compared to small machine like that. But I got to work with what I have and just prepare for the future. And if I can get it done in the amount of hours that I have and I'm not at capacity, then I'm not going to complain. But I want to try to start going down the road of figuring all this stuff out so that if I do get another golden ticket opportunity, I know what I need to buy.
Yeah. Yep. It's good to have that stuff already in your back pocket.
Yeah. So all that to say, busy, happy, stressed.
Yeah.
So I feel like I've been talking for a little while. Let's move on to you for a little bit.
So I've been very busy. I've had a lot going on. It's gone smoothly. So this month, once I finish up everything that I'm working on now, will be the most income that I have ever made in a month. So yeah, and it's not quite a record for revenue for Audacity Micro, but it is a record. Is it a record for profit? It's a record for profit percentage for a month at very least. I'd have to check if it's a record for total net profit. But but in terms of like my take home pay from Audacity, and then also I've been teaching. And so that's why it's not not necessarily a record for Audacity. But the teaching plus Audacity is record income for me. The wild thing is I did not realize that that Audacity was close to a record month until a while ago. And even the beginning of the month was rather slow because I was working on those big parts that we shall not talk about. But since then, work has just been flowing really smoothly. Even though I'm really only working on it part-time, it's still pretty close to a record because, finally, my systems are dialed. I'm not working on that big production job. Like there's no weird like cash flow things that are holding me up or, like I have the Tormach now, which has been super reliable. The Haas has also been running. And so, the last couple of weeks, things have just kind of been working and I've had good parts for me, ones that are high margin, parts that other people wouldn't want to touch, which is why they're high margin for me. Where materials are cheap, but the machining is expensive. The not a 5-axis system is just working beautifully. And I have basically single piece flowed basically every piece that has been through my shop this month, which has been cool. The not a 5-axis makes that a lot easier. And now that I have like my Aero system up and running, that's made that a lot easier as well. But things are going smoothly, which
that's
is nice.
Awesome. Have you seen any more interest in Subtract this month over previous months?
We got a couple orders that are going through Subtract right now. One of which is made out of pure iron, which is interesting. EJ Nocturnal Welding took that one. Seems like he did a pretty good job on it. I don't think they've made it to the customer yet, but he's definitely shipped them. So
Nice.
hopefully we'll hear some feedback on them. But
customer supplied material, or did he have to go find it?
It was customer specified. So they went, here, buy it from this link.
Oh, okay.
And then we just built that price in and bought it from that link. But yeah, it was pure iron, which is interesting. We're really worried about it rusting on the way. So we had him like oil it and do a protective coating. So hopefully it doesn't rust. But
did he oil it and then wrap it in plastic to keep the oil on it?
I don't know. There's also another order that's going through Subtract that I don't even know what the parts are right now, which is kind of cool.
Yeah,
because I didn't have any interaction with that order.
That's like the best form of automation right there.
Yeah, Jacob automation. I bet if you paid him enough, he would come run your machine too. And
that'd be quite the trip.
Our ERP, our Subtract ERP, which we don't have a name for yet, which we thought about leaving up to the Patreons, and then decided that would be a little bit on the dangerous side with Jamie in there.
And I've started listening to some of their podcast stuff.
Wow.
He had a really so we can get into it a little bit. I'll let you finish.
But we're not using the software yet to manage our orders. That's still an Airtable. We have a little bit of a problem where the order, like our whole order process is built around an Airtable form. And so live orders just go straight into Airtable. And at some point, we'll have to switch that over to the new ERP. And that's kind of the last hurdle. But we've been using the ERP software to generate our quotes automatically, our invoices, like all of the kind of paperwork stuff that we were doing manually before is now being done automatically by the ERP. Jacob built some really nice quoting tools into it. So before we were going from Toolpath into a spreadsheet and then to like our quote PDF. Now you open up Toolpath, you still do that manually, put in the part, grab the numbers out of there, and you stick them straight into the ERP, and it just has all of the things right there in a row. So you can, some of them are like, type in how much material costs. Some of them are like, here's a slider between, complex and easy. And you just kind of choose, where on that slider it is, which that will probably, at some point, that'll get a little bit more refined. Right now, Jacob and I have it pretty dialed, but it's not a system. It's just experience. But it makes the quoting and stuff so much faster and easier. And at some point soon here, we'll get that live to where orders are going directly from our website, subtractmanufacturing.com, to our own little ERP. And we tested some ads as well. We ran some ads on Metas, on Facebook and Instagram. At this point, those ads were only really to test to make sure that our systems were in place for it. We did not expect to get any sales from that, and we did not get any sales from that. I think we got like 100 link clicks. We spent like $15 on it or something like that. But all of that stuff seems to be working. And so now we need to work on some like actual good ads. Let's see. We probably need to onboard some more people into Subtract. We want to get the amount of time it takes for somebody to accept the job off the job board down a little bit. And we need some more capabilities. We had a job come up that had some parts that would have been great for your brand new lathe. But at the moment, we don't have anyone on the job board with those capabilities. You could have done it on a 4th axis and a lathe. So like turn the parts and then stuck them in a 4th axis. But we really only have one person who has that ability. And they were booked. So we had to kind of no quote those. Actually, I think we kind of gave them a go away price, which I regretted. We should have just explained the situation to them because now they think we're really expensive. So that was a mistake.
Yeah.
But other than that, Subtract is going pretty well too. We get orders when I put out videos and we do podcasts. And so I really need to pick up the pace on that. But I've been making stuff for Audacity and not recording videos.
What about your Toolpath video that you did that did really well? Did that generate some interest?
Not that I know of. So there's an interest. Okay, for the audience, Toolpath came here and did a shop tour and like a customer success story. And that customer success story got a ton of views. I haven't checked lately, but it was on the order of 300,000 views. The interesting thing was it didn't get any comments, at least last I saw. So somehow people are seeing it, but not engaging with it. And the engagement is a better indicator of if you're going to get sales from a video or not. So I guess I'm a good thumbnail, but not interesting enough to watch the video. Like, or maybe Toolpath is promoting that, or it got shared somewhere. I don't know, but it got a lot of views, but no engagement, which is weird for YouTube. Normally, the engagement kind of drives the views.
Do you think that was something of bots somehow making it more popular than actual people, or do you think those are actual views? Because I just pulled up the video and it's at over 500,000 views, but you're right, there is not a single comment on it.
I kind of wonder if Toolpath or one of their like investors is running ads with that video being the ad. That is my guess. Without seeing their analytics, I don't know. And I guess I could just like ask them, but why do that when you can wildly speculate on the internet?
Yeah, because I mean, it got a ton of views. I'm surprised that there's not any comments, not a single one.
Because my videos that get 3,000 views might get 20 or 30 or 40 comments. So it's very strange.
Yeah, because they have other shop tours on here, and I was just gonna pull one up and see if there was any comments on a different ones.
Ooh, that's a good question. On their like customer success stories.
Yeah.
I didn't check for comments on the shop tour.
Or yeah, customer spotlights, I should say. Well, no, that one doesn't have any sidetracked on the podcast. But
maybe it's like embedded on their website or embedded somewhere that gets a lot of traffic, but not.
They would have other videos that would be, similar height then, I would think. Because these are all, the bulk of them are, under 10K.
Yeah.
That I'm seeing. So something happened with that one that made it shoot up like crazy.
Maybe it got like shared on Twitter, and like maybe it's harder to comment on Twitter, or people are more inclined to just react as a tweet or something like that. I don't know. It's weird. But yeah, I need to just make more videos. The job I'm finishing up literally tonight. The last op 1 finished as we were talking, and I'll run op 2 before I go to bed, and that'll be the last part on this batch of parts. The technique that I use to make those has both been wildly successful and is pretty cool. So I don't remember. No, I didn't do a video on the watch parts the other day, the watch bezels. And I basically just matured that technique a little bit. So in my not a 5-axis, I have just a piece of material hanging out as if it was a 4th axis. So just in a self-centering vise on my rotary, or my not a rotary. And in op 1, I cut a big rectangle, and then I cut out like the top half of the part. And then for op 2, I have a 3D printed insert that I hot glue in, and that supports the part. It really, actually, the hot glue is the only thing touching the part. But it's just a relatively thin layer of hot glue. And the 3D printed part, which is printed out of a fiberglass reinforced plastic, that is providing more rigidity than just the hot glue would on its own. And then I flip it over and I machine the other side. And there are no tabs or anything to remove. It comes off completely deburred. You do have to scrape hot glue off of it, which is a little bit annoying, but it's not too bad to get off. I'm running 2 vices at the same time. So 2 pallets is what I've been calling them, but 2 vices, and a single piece flowing the parts through those 2 vices. So once the material goes in the vise, it doesn't come out until it's finished. But because the glue takes time to cool down, to dry, to cure, whatever you want to call it with hot glue, would be slow to do it one at a time. So I'm single piece flowing 2 parts at a time. And it's been working shockingly well. I had issues with the hot glue not sticking to the copper when I first started,
Mm-hmm.
but I found that it was probably because the copper had a large heat reservoir, cold reservoir. It had a
Mm-hmm.
lot of thermal inertia, and I think it was cooling down the hot glue before the hot glue could really like stick to it. And by heating up the copper with just my propane torch for just a couple seconds, it like kind of preheats it, and that basically cured all of my stickage issues. And then also coolant. If I ran it with coolant with the hot glue, it would pop the part off. But if I used my air blast, it was fine. So it took me a couple parts to figure out all of those details to make sure the glue was sticky.
Mm-hmm.
But once I got that done, it worked super well. And I'll probably make a lot of parts this way.
Apologies if I missed this, but are you using a high temperature hot glue?
Yes. Well, I don't know what the glue sticks are. I bought a box of glue sticks a long time ago, and like a case of them, like 10 pounds of glue sticks. And I don't remember if those are specifically like, there's like high strength hot melt glue, and then there's like high temperature / low temperature glue, and then there's low temperature. And I don't remember if this is the high low stuff or just the high stuff. It's
Is your
probably
gun?
the high low stuff.
Is your gun? Do you have like one of those real high temp ones?
The
Hot glue
gun
guns?
is high temp.
Okay. Does it have
In
a switch
fact,
to go between the two?
yes. It has like it's got like a 60-watt mode and a 120-watt mode. It doesn't call it high low.
Okay.
But it gets really darn hot. In fact, the glue is so hot that it will warm up the vise, and you can feel the warmth seep into the vise. And I have to make sure it cools down before I put it back in the machine.
What about? Well, if that's the case, one, does it melt your 3D prints any? And two, if you set it to low, you could figure out if you're running the high low or the high glue.
That is true. I haven't done that yet. It's probably the high low glue because it's clear. I'm like
Okay.
80% sure.
If you run it too hot, does that cause problems with the glue?
I don't know. Probably it could. It comes out very liquid.
Okay.
But the 3D printed part is a glass reinforced ABS.
Okay. So it can handle high
And
temp.
so
Okay.
it hasn't gotten particularly melty. I did try a couple out of PLA just kind of for giggles, and they did get a little bit melty, but I don't think it hurt anything. The glue didn't stick to the PLA as well, but that was almost a benefit, if anything. They did get a little bit melty, but I think it doesn't hurt because it just is basically a carrier for the glue. It's just adding rigidity for the glue. I never described these parts. So these parts are they're like 1.25 inches rectangular. You can kind of think of it. It's like a clipped rectangle, like an octagon, but it's got kind of a dome shape to them, and they are 1/4 millimeter thick, 10 thou thick copper with some like 3D shaping in there. And so it would be really difficult to machine these any other way. I get tabbing them off is the only other way I could think of doing it. But a little bit of small tools on them. There's like some 1/32 inch tools. Most of it's 1/16 inch. So I rough out with an 1/8 and then semi rough with a 3/16 and then, or excuse me, a 1/16 and then finish with a ball mill. I did use my free trial for the manufacturing extension. Like it came back. I'd used it before, but my free trial came back, and I used steep and shallow and deburr on this, and that worked really well. I was afraid that it would take me a long time to program the surfacing on these, but I hit steep and shallow and it was like, hey, look, a perfect toolpath. The only other thing I saw on these that was odd is there was a little bit of a taper on them. It was about a thou and a half, maybe 2 thou sometimes in the thickness across them.
Were you semi finishing and then finishing, or were you roughing and then going straight to finishing?
It was a fine step over adaptive with the 1/16th. I don't know if you want to call that a semi finishing pass because it wasn't like a ball mill and a surfacing path. It was just small step overs with a adaptive.
Did well, let me ask you this. Do you feel like your finishing tool was getting loaded up and then going to a lighter load, heavier, lighter, heavier, kind of back and forth because of the stepping?
I don't think so, because the surface finish was fine.
Okay.
This was across the length. So
that probably didn't make a difference then. If it's a constant taper and your surface finish looks good, then it's probably just deflection in the material or something along those lines.
Yeah. I don't know if I ever checked if the thicker end was near the vise or far away from the vise. In retrospect, that would be a really obvious thing to check. And the part's symmetrical. So
don't you have one in the machine?
I do have one in the machine. Yeah, I can check that tomorrow.
So just check the last one. Just remember which direction it's in.
I was worried. I'm worried though that it's something to do with the heat that I'm putting into the part. It could just be as simple as deflection, I guess.
Is it consistent? Are they all doing the same thing? And is it all?
I mean, give or take a thou, yeah.
So it's probably not your heat then. Because I've found that at least with the material deflection, it can be pretty sporadic what it does. It's not very consistent. It's not consistent within a couple thou, at least from part to part.
Well, these parts are so small, though, that
makes me think that it's even less material deflection. That doesn't help. Usually material deflection plays a bigger part the bigger the part is.
Yeah. But also, it's being supported by hot glue on the second operation in ABS plastic.
That makes it a bigger case for deflection.
One of my thoughts was that my not a fifth axis is a little bit off in the rotated about the X direction a little bit. Like it's either aiming up a little bit or aiming down a little bit. I think that's probably the most likely.
Let me ask you another question, though. When you're separating it on your obtuse side, are you separating it from the base to the tip or from the tip to the base?
Like peeling it off of the glue, you mean?
And when you're machining it away from the window frame that's holding it, are you machining it away starting from the part closest to the vise or the part furthest away from the vise?
Okay, if we are looking down on it from the top view, the vise would be at 9 o'clock. The unsupported end of the material would be at 3 o'clock. It is about 11 o'clock that it starts separating it.
Okay.
So towards the vise end, I suppose, but not all the way towards it. Just a little bit left of center.
Okay.
Just from, that's where the adaptive decided to ramp in.
Are you ball milling it after it's detached?
Yes. Yeah, it's detached after the 1/16 inch end mill comes in there and roughs it out. A 1/8 inch end mill does the like pre-roughing and it's still attached at that stage. But then a 1/16 inch tool comes in and detaches it the rest of the way because I need clearance for the ball mill to get all the way down like over the edge of the part. And I didn't want to clog that with hot glue, which has definitely also been a problem on these parts.
Okay.
The hot glue really, really likes to clog my tools.
Fair enough. Yeah. I mean, I think it sounds like deflection or misalignment. That would be the two things that have the greatest validity from what I'm hearing. Let's
see. If it's misaligned, op 1 would go in and it would cut it so that it was flat. Like it would, the machine would make it so that the part was parallel with, the XY plane. And then if it was off axis and you flipped it up, it would end up with a taper.
Yeah, and you could run an indicator if you can get to your machine spot, and you could check that before you machine op 2 when you flip it real easily.
Except the only thing I could I would have to indicate the bottom of the part.
Yes, you have to just reach underneath, and
Yeah,
you
could
could
do that. I could make a test part instead of doing it on these ones. Yeah, just stick a piece of steel in there, machine off a face, flip it over, and measure it.
Yeah, that'd be a real good way to make sure, see if it's, at the very least, if your fixture is flat when you flip it 180.
Yeah, that's a good call, because I don't have anything on my Aroa base that I can indicate for that type of tram. I trammed it in the other two ways. So rotation around the z-axis and rotation around the
Perpendicular to the x-axis, or parallel to the
I
x-axis.
indicated everything I can. That geometry got a little too difficult for my brain at 9:12 at night. But that's one thing I couldn't check with my indicator setup, because I don't have like a long. I would need like a test rod with the Aroa base to check that, and I don't have that. But anyway, they were within tolerance, so it was fine.
You can also do cut a block, a square, and what I would do, or I would cut on the top face, flip it, cut it on the top face, and then that'll get you one direction, and then I would so top face 180, top face, measure it, and make sure your thickness is correct what you're going for, and you can also check for taper, because you could check your height, you could check your two ends.
That is how I now set my 0 point.
Okay.
I first put it in there, after I indicated it in, I put a big block of material in there. I cut with a facing cut all four sides of that, and used that to find the center of the thingy.
So I do it in two stages. I do my Z cut, 180 Z cut, and I get that good. And then I'll do another block, and I'll cut one side, rotate it 180, and cut the same side to where they're opposed from each other. And then I'll cut on the opposite side, 90 from that, do another 180 and cut that. And so I'll have a block where it was cut from where I'm measuring across the flats. One was cut on the right side and one was cut on the left side. And if those are different thicknesses, then I know I'm off axis in the in this case it'd probably be the y axis for how it's oriented on your machine.
Yeah.
And on my machine.
That's a good call.
So one gives me the Z and the other gives me the Y.
Well, speaking of good calls, we have Patreons. Our Patreons are pretty cool. They help keep the show going. They make me feel guilty when I miss episodes. All paid members get access to our. It's been. I'm rusty. It's been 2 weeks since I've done this. All paid Patreon members get access to our Patreon Discord, which has turned into a super awesome community of people, or at least we assume they're people, and also early access to all of our episodes. So, assuming we do actually record, Jacob has been getting these things posted the same day that we record them, which is pretty cool. And then anybody $10 a month gets their name read, except this time, for funsies, we are reading the name of all paid Patreons. But before I do that, saying the term paid Patreon implies non-paid Patreons, and that is also a thing. So if you want to join up as a non-paid Patreon, you don't get those benefits that I just mentioned, but you do get access to the weekly Q&A, which I just realized still exists and we still need to do, even though this episode is getting long. We have a new Patreon this week, Kramer Machine Tool. Thank you, Kramer, for joining us. Our $10 a month or more members are Alex at Mill City Roasters. Did we give him a new Patreon shout out?
I think he's a new Patreon. I don't think we've given him a shout out.
I wonder if the 2-week schedule screwed that up. But thank you, Alex at Mill City Roasters. Is that like coffee? Do you guys make coffee?
And I think the next person as well is new.
Christian O. I thought I remembered. I'm pretty sure I mixed up Christian O. and Stephen M's names.
Yeah. Never mind. That's my bad.
Yeah, Christian. I'm not sure I'm going to get through this. Kristen O. Stephen M. A Dead Horse. Daniel R. James at Moultrie Ryan at Strato Manufacturing. Austin W. Kyle at Kursk Machine. Devin at Sinister Machine Works. James N. Ben at Prickly Pear Prototypes. Cam S. Shep at Alderson Prototyping. Jacob at Zana Precision. Jason S., Joshua H., Christian Z., Freaky Climber, Prescott at 1Z2Z Systems, Trey V., Alexander B., Scott Designed the Everything, Jamie at JSpec Engineering, Chris at Zyke Precision, EJ at Nocturnal Welding, Chris at Thought Bomb Design. Can I do? No, we'll come back to him. And then all of our paid Patreons that aren't on that list: Kramer Machine Tool, Alex at Absolute Machine Tool, Roy Beast, Seamus W., Luke at Fantastic, Brian M., Josh C., Kurt at Confounded Machines, Trevor at Jacob Dynamics. I had to check that because Trevor at Jacob Dynamics. Why isn't it Jacob at Jacob Dynamics and Trevor at Trevor Dynamics? Russ D, Dylan at Protein Machining / Within Tolerance. There he is. Greg at Frogtown Manufacturing, Nate G, Nick at Nixco, Cameron S, Albert E, Tyler S, Robert ... Ashton, Jeff at Ollie Racing, Chris M, Sean H, Jules at Heinz Speed Components, Ryan at Horston Tool, Norman K, Spencer C, Dylan at Got Chips, Leland B, Doug H, Quack. Wait, no, we learned how to say this. It wasn't Quack.
Don't look at me.
No, I'm gonna get it. I'm gonna have to go listen to an old episode. Quack.
No, it's not Quook.
Quoth. I'm sorry, Quack. I don't remember how to pronounce your name. Murray Electronics Instruments, YZFXTX, Guy L, Johnny W, Eric H, Ildorn, Zach at Volunteer Machine Works, Jeb C, Ferrotech Technologies, and as ever, the man who does not answer my Instagram messages, Jake Brownson.
Or mine.
He did say that he doesn't use Instagram very much at some point. So it's not really his fault. I'm messaging him on a platform that he doesn't use, which also, to be fair, I have uninstalled Instagram from my phone because it sucks time. And so it is gone now.
And Jake Brownson is part of the higher tier. We just have to have him at the end, no matter which ones we're reading.
He just, as ever, Jake Brownson, because he has been with us and like supported design, everything. He has been in the community a long time. I'm pretty sure longer than everybody else here, including Harrison.
Yep. And
was he in the Shoreline days?
Don't look at me. That's before me.
That's a question for you, Jake. You can answer my Instagram messages. What machine did I have when you first started following me? It might have been the Shoreline or even the Router.
I know that I found you around the time you were doing the trays on the 1100M.
Yeah, the 1100 PCNC.
Or PCNC, yeah. PCNC. And you were doing trays for something? What were those trays for?
All of your train needs.
Yeah, but you were doing something. Trays might have been like your newer product. You had something you were doing before then, and it wasn't
branding
the carabine.
Irons.
Oh, was it branding irons? Okay.
And there were pry bars. The parametric pry bars started on that machine and ended on the 1100 MX.
Yeah, but you did the trays, and they were pretty successful for a little while. You sold a decent amount.
Those were really successful for a little while, then they died.
Yeah.
All right, Q&A. We'll do this speed mode because it's becoming long. Well, we're not really at a long episode. I guess I'm just tired. Griffin P. I noticed Haas made some changes to the pocket mill that at face value seemed to make it more appealing. Base price reduced to $25K and an 8K spindle option available. Does that change your opinion of the machine? No.
Yes.
Ooh, wow.
It changes mine.
It's still like more expensive than a Sile or the Tormach once you get it like optioned how you want it.
If you added the 8K option and the 10 pocket tool carousel, that brings it to around 34 or 35.
All right. What about high speed machining and probing?
I feel like all that stuff you can add later, kind of like the Tormach route that we started with. I feel like those are the two options that are necessary to start out, because you can't really add a tool changer after the fact without making a lot of expense, and you can for sure can't change your RPM. So if you bought those two options, so like when we bought our Tormach, we bought it without probing, or we might have had the probing, I don't remember, but for sure we did not have the tool changer. There were several options that we bought it without that we added after the fact that as we grew into that machine. And I feel like you could kind of do that to this machine now. I'm not saying it is the better option. I'm just saying it's now at least in the race of something that I would consider.
Yeah, I don't know. I would go with an X5 or a 1500 before that machine still. Now a mini mill is a really good value, but
Yes.
that pocket mill is just a weird machine that I don't think has a home outside of education.
If that machine, the one thing that would change my opinion and give it an even bigger stamp of approval is if baseline was 6K and the 8,000 RPM option was half the price.
That would be better.
I think it would be a lot more appealing, because then it would be in between the 1100 MX and the 1500 from a price point perspective. And I think the 1500 is a more capable machine, but I do think that the pocket mill would still be competitive if it was a little bit less. If you were comparing it to the 1100 and it was close enough to that price, I think it would win. And so if you could fit it close, the closer you can get it to that 1100, I think it wins. The closer it is to the 1500, the 1500 wins.
I think the one argument for the pocket mill is if you're doing something where the Cat 40 matters and the RPM doesn't.
Yes.
So if you need to use a face mill all day, every day, the Tormach is not the machine for you. Neither is an X5. If you need, a long reach 3/4 inch end mills, you probably don't want to go with a Tormach or an X5. If you're making aluminum widgets, not the right machine by any means.
Yeah. If you're doing steel and stainless, it becomes a lot more competitive. Or bigger parts.
And no surfacing.
Yeah. Yep.
I'm sure there's some niche applications where the best machine for the application, but
I know that when I was using the JBU's mini mill, or the university that I taught at, and I was comparing it to the 1100 MX, that 6,000 RPM spindle was still way faster than the 10,000 RPM spindle, just because of how much bigger of a cut I could take.
If you're just trying to remove material.
Yep. Yeah. Whenever you got into any kind of surfacing or anything like that, you needed high-speed machining, and it was still slower. But it honestly wasn't as bad as you would think it would be. So I think if you had the 6K as the base, then that 8K becomes optional, and it becomes a lot better. 4K is just a little too slow.
Yeah. Kyle at Kursk, form taps, cut taps, or thread milling? Thread milling.
Honestly, I thread mill very little. I do a lot of cut taps.
You don't use form taps much? I guess you do a lot of hard materials.
I do a lot of hard materials, although I am looking to start getting into some more form taps for the aluminum and automation, just because I don't want to deal with chip wrapping.
Yeah. I've actually been using taps a lot more recently, sometimes to my detriment, but actually fairly successfully.
Like I would love to thread mill more things, but it just, the time constraint, and I very rarely break a tap these days, knock on everything that is wooden in my area. And so I just default to that 90% of the time. So although I do have some parts I'm going to thread mill, which I forgot to mention, the heaviest parts we've ever machined, 70 pounds starting out material. And they have 4 M1x8 tapped holes that are up to almost 2 inches deep.
I need to restock all of my thread mills. I ran out of a bunch of tooling. Not ran out, but I let my tooling inventory get really low a couple of months ago, and I've been slowly restocking it. But I mean, I probably could have spent 10 grand on tools to get back to where I really wanted to be. And I didn't do that. And I don't want to do that. And I restocked a lot of my small end mills. And I think I need to do a big thread mill order next.
But to answer your question, form, cut, or thread, yes.
Yeah, it depends on the application.
Yes. Yes to all of them.
I used the form taps for the carabiners, for the little OT80 threads, and those worked really well for that. Yeah, it depends. For job shop stuff, the thread mills are nice, though. Though you do have to have the thread gauges. Like, sometimes you can get away with, like, if you cut it with a cut tap and like the correct screw goes through it, it's probably fine. But with thread milling, you have to take the time to dial it in, and you need the tools to do that. Do you know what my bottleneck right now is in my workflow?
What?
1/8-inch collets. I need to invest $500 in 1/8-inch collets because I am breaking down tools just to get to the 1/8-inch collet.
Yeah, you need to get some.
Need to. It's such a dumb thing to be my bottleneck.
And guess what I get to do? I get to resupply all my ER20 collets because that's what this lathe comes with.
Oh.
I got rid of all my
it came with collets?
No,
no, you need to buy them now.
Yeah, because all of the holders are ER20, and I got rid of all my ER20s when I got rid of my Tormach, and so now I have to build up a collection again because all the live tool holders that came with are ER20.
Yeah. Let's see, my tool holders now are almost exclusively ER16. I have, I think, 4 ER20s that I use for larger tools. And then I got some like end mill holders for 1/2-inch tools.
Do you have any ER11s?
I don't have any ER11s.
I have a couple.
The Pocket NC used to be ER11. Okay, Ryan at Horston Tool. Hearing protection in the shop while being able to listen to music podcast audiobooks?
I use the AirPods 2 Pro. And I've been thinking about switching and trying to find something that's over the ear that does a better job of sound cancellation without using the active noise canceling feature of these things. Because our shop is quite loud. And so I want something that has like a better baseline of protection instead of just relying on the noise canceling.
Yeah, I for a long time used these. These are Sony WMX, blah, 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 the good Sony noise canceling headphones. And I was very happy with these. The only problem with them is I tended to be really difficult or hard on the bands. And these ones, I think it's here, right there. It's held together with hot glue and electrical tape. And I've repaired these probably 10 times. So I don't think it's I think the headphones are perfectly durable. I think I'm just hard on headphones. So I retired these ones to be just my like podcast headphones. And I've now switched to in-ear headphones. I'm not fancy an Apple like Harrison, but these ones are from Anchor. It's like the Anchor Soundcore. And I've been very, very happy with these. This is actually my backup pair. And is this getting too in the weeds? So they come in these little charging cases, right? I was wearing a different pair of these. And I was like listening to an audiobook as I was getting ready for bed. I put the charging case on my bed as I had my headphones in my ears as I was listening to stuff. I walked away. I came back. I remember like knocking the headphone case off the bed when I left to go do whatever I was doing. And that headphone case has never showed up again. I've been missing it for like a week. It's not in the bed. I swear it's not in the bedroom. It's gone forever. And I don't know why. And at this point, I can only think that my memory of putting it on the bed was false. And I actually left it somewhere else. But Yeah. I still have the headphones, but no charging case for them.
Does the charging case have any like find me functionality where you can make it
The
beep?
headphones do, but the case doesn't.
That's the nice thing I like about these is that the first generation didn't have that, but these you can make the actual case beep as well, which is helpful.
Yeah, that's nice.
And the new ones, the Pro 3s, I think you can use the same Find My feature, like with the air, like what you can usually do with the air tags, where it'll actually guide you to it instead of just making it beep. So
yeah,
I've had these for about a year and a half now, and they're starting to wear out. So whenever it's time to upgrade, I'm probably going to upgrade to the 3s because I use these basically daily. They're awesome.
Oh, I listen to podcasts and audiobooks a stupid amount during the day.
Which is the last 2 weeks, I have been one of 2 people in the shop because my employee was gone for a week and a half on vacation, and then Weston was gone for half a week. So it's been a 2-man shop for the last 2 weeks, which is part of the reason I'm so exhausted.
Yeah.
And part of the reason I was able to catch up on some podcasts. And so I've actually been listening to everyone I can think of's podcasts and trying to catch up on everyone. So The Bomb, Pearson, Within Tolerance, Lone Machinists, started listening to them some. So I still have a lot of podcasts to listen to, but like I've been trying to catch up on as many of them as I can. So, and JB, like your podcast with Dylan was really good. I like that one a lot.
But not your own podcast, just the one where you're on Within Tolerance.
No, his other one's good too, but like it was cool hearing more of his background and kind of history with Dylan, because Dylan did a good overview of like his whole journey, and it was good. I liked it.
Yep, that was a good episode.
And I finally listened to listening to their first Lone Machinist podcast all the way through, and I heard them call you out with your 15 different businesses, and I was like, yes, I started that.
And they've been iterating up by one every time.
Yeah, they have. And I was like, yes. I thought that was great. So, but yeah. So
noise canceling headphones, I think Ryan was our answer.
Yes.
I like the Anchor one, or not Anchor. Are they Anchor? Yeah, Anchor. The Anchor Soundcore ones. Harrison likes his Apple stuff. Interestingly, on these Anchor headphones, so I thought I lost this pair, and like they disappeared for like a week, and so I bought a new pair, and I like these ones so much that I coughed up the money for the more expensive version. These ones were like $30, and I bought their $100 version, and I definitely like the $30 version better than the $100 version.
I found a pair of headphones. We went to a movie theater a couple weeks ago, and I found some in the seat that I was in. And then we looked them up after we got out, and they were like $5 ones or something. They were like super cheap.
Yeah.
There's a brand I'd never heard of.
Headphone technologies have gotten much better.
It was like an AliExpress or Temu or something. It was funny.
But
so
I'll probably get another, like a nice pair of Sonys at some point. But I think I'll stick with these ones, the like in-ear charging case ones, because I'm hard on headbands. And
when I was an engineer, I had the over the ear ones, kind of like these, and I like those. I just haven't. They're so inconvenient to have, because the other ones, at least I could just throw in my pockets and I have them with me all the time, so they're easy to just slap in. But I like the over the ears better if like I'm going to wear them for long periods.
I'm just thinking of two things that I failed to mention. Scott has been coming over on the weekends and running parts.
Ooh.
He just ran a job beginning to end for the first time this weekend.
Is he making parts for Design the Everything still? Is he doing that?
So the goal of this is to get him to the point where he can be doing that more efficiently. He has his little Shoreline mill up and running. And he's wanting to get, kind of better at machining. And that's his goal. My goal is just to have a backup person who knows how to run parts in case, like, I don't know, I get paralyzed and put in a wheelchair or something, I can have him come run them. Just like having somebody else around who knows how to run my machines is a good thing. So he's run customer parts for me, but this was the first ones he did soup to nuts all the way through. So he programmed them. He did the soft jaws. I don't think he's quite ready yet to do it without me in the room answering questions, but like he did all the steps. So that was kind of cool. And then I have this new class of students. I've had them for about 3 weeks now. But at the beginning of last week, it's last week at this point. So basically, at the beginning of their second week, no, it must have been the beginning of their third week. They were now running parts by themselves. Now, granted, those are parts that I already programmed, but I was able to hand them a setup sheet and they made parts. So that was kind of a cool milestone. It normally takes me about 2 weeks longer to get to this point, but I've been doing my Kanban method for teaching, and it has been so much better and is so much more smooth.
That's awesome.
So I need to make a video on that at some point. I'm still kind of dialing in the system, but we're getting there.
I like it. It's that time. That time where AJ says he's tired, so Harrison say goodbye.
I am tired. I was tired a long time ago.
No, I've been exhausted, so. But I wanted to do a podcast since how we missed last week. But anyways, guys.
I wasn't on my phone.
Huh? Oh, I was just glaring at you through the camera. So
I was on Discord and not paying attention.
Anyways, this has been Harrison with Precision Ingenuity, signing out with AJ from, forgive me, Jamie, how many are we up to now? 17 businesses? 18 businesses? AJ with Subtract and Audacity and a few more that he's working on. And
submit your parts at subtractmanufacturing.com.
And yeah, thanks for hanging out with us, and we'll catch you guys next week.
Bye.